Hello everyone, this is your IELTS tutor Jack, and in today's episode of the IELTS Plus podcast, we're going to be talking about adventure. So I think this is a really interesting one because this is a good opportunity to talk about your experiences, in this case about adventures. It could be from your childhood. In my case, I'm going to talk about some of my travel experiences. But it should be interesting. You'll learn more about me today. Now, a couple of notes before we start. Firstly, there is a textbook that goes along with all of these episodes. So you'll get all of the wonderful vocabulary, which I'm showing the camera now. There's some really nice vocabulary today. Some adjectives such as thrilling, adventurous. There's some nouns in here that I would like to add to my answers today, such as adrenaline, expedition, mountaineering. All of this will be available at www.britplus.net. That is my home for my business, and you'll be able to get all of my textbooks there. So, in today's lesson, one more note actually before we start, and perhaps you saw this last episode. I do now, on the YouTube channel, I provide all of the subtitles, and in the subtitles, I highlight the words that are from the textbook. So these are key words for that topic. You'll be able to see that on my YouTube channel. I think that's useful. And today, we're talking about adventure. So the concept I want to start with today is thinking about what type of person you are. Are you a risk taker or are you risk averse? These are opposites, of course. One of them means you like taking risks. One of them means you avoid taking risks. For me personally, I would say nowadays I'm a little more risk averse. I'm avoiding risk a little bit more in my private life and also in business. So, that is your key question for today. I would like you to answer in the comments or wherever you can. Give me your answer. Are you a risk taker or are you risk averse? And just give me a little detail about that. Why do you say you're a risk taker or risk averse? I will check all of your answers in YouTube or wherever you leave them. And I think we can get straight into this. There is a student question, a question from one of my listeners. I'm going to answer it a little later because it's connected to part 2. So let's just warm up. So I'm getting my questions here now. The first question is, do you enjoy adventure activities? Yes, I do enjoy adventure activities, but it depends on what type of activities. Nowadays, I'm a little uncomfortable with heights. So some of the activities I used to enjoy have become difficult for me, such as mountaineering. It is something I want to get over, so that's one of my targets or New Year's resolutions is to overcome my fear of heights. Next one. What is the most adventurous thing you have ever done? Wow. I guess the most adventurous thing I've ever done it could be related to mountaineering, but I'm going to say my trip to Australia because it was very unplanned and it was dangerous. But in the end, it turned out to be a wonderful holiday. Okay, that's everything for part 1. Now let's move on to part 2, where we are giving a 2-minute answer. As you know, I do not prepare this, so I don't have my 1-minute preparation time, but I'm going to use my structure, which you can get in the textbook, and freestyle an answer. Today's question is going to be, describe an adventure you had. Okay, a really simple one today, and it gives us an opportunity to pick an experience and focus on it. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 minutes on my clock. Here you go. 2 minutes is ready. And let's begin. I'd like to tell you about my trip to Australia. I went to Australia in 2009, and it was the end of a period of work that I wasn't enjoying. So it was quite spontaneous that I decided to go to Australia quickly, no plans, and I was going to stay there for a whole year. At the time, I had done a lot of research on Australia, and I thought that it was a good place to work and be able to earn my money and continue traveling. It was going to be expensive. And I thought that perhaps I would have the courage to do that. It would be difficult, but I thought perhaps I have the courage to do that. So let me tell you a little more about my trip to Australia. Australia is probably famous for the outback, so I was quite interested in perhaps learning bushcraft and finding your way, navigating the countryside. In this case, the dangerous bush, which people often talk about when talking about Australia. So I started in Sydney, but very quickly I moved into the Blue Mountains, and I saw snakes and spiders and all these awful, dangerous things. But it really helped me. It helped me overcome my fear of spiders, for example. So for me personally, this experience was really important. I would say pivotal in my life, because it allowed me to overcome a number of fears. It made me realize what I'm capable of. It really tested me this whole 1 year in Australia. And it also, of course, gave me a number of exciting experiences where, wow, I wasn't quite ready then. I still had plenty more to say, but that's my 2 minutes up. By the way, you will see me glancing to my right as I'm answering these questions, because I have my list of vocabulary and I would like to try to get some of them in. So yeah, a few of these turned out to be very useful, such as bushcraft. Bushcraft, of course, is a very important skill if you're in Australia, in the bush, trying to survive. So I will do that. Now, I told you I'm going to answer a student question today. I will try to do this, so please do leave your questions and I will always try to answer them in upcoming episodes. And in this case, let me just read. Now, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but let's just say Nahian. I do apologize for that. He said, in part 2, cue card, we have to answer according to the tense of the topic. If the question is in the past form, then we should also describe it in the past form. This structure contradicts the structure you use, referring to my structure in my textbook. You're absolutely right. So basically, you are going to notice in part 2, there are questions that are past focused, present focused, sometimes future focused when it talks about hopes. Still, you can stick to my principle of start in the past, move to the present, and move to the future. The only area, and I say this in my textbook, in the present section, which is the middle section, the description section, you can be flexible with that. If you listen to what I just gave now at part 2 about adventure, past tense, I really focused on that past moment I decided to go to Australia. Then in the present section, normally we switch to present, I was flexible and I elaborated on my past story. So in answer to you, it's flexible. Primarily, the middle section is description. But most of the time, I'd like you to try to move it to present tense if you can, because that shows diversity of tense. You can always mention the future, right? In this case, it's a past focused, but you can always say, in the future, I hope to go back to Australia. And you won't be marked down for that. If they're asking a past tense question, showing diversity of tense in your answer is absolutely fine. It's not marked down. So I hope that answers your question. Let's move on to part 3. So the first question in part 3, why do some people like to do adventurous activities? I think that some people just find it thrilling. They like to get an adrenaline rush. And I really feel like it's something you're born with. You either really love getting that adrenaline, that thrill from an activity, or not. So you'll find some people like to go mountaineering, surfing, climbing, some activities that can make you nervous, whereas others just tend to avoid it. I also would add that we change over time, and perhaps as we get older, we become less thrill-seeking. Next, part 3. What are the risks of adventure sports and activities? Obviously, the risk of adventure sports and activities is injury or even death. We do see this. Depending on the sport that you play or the activity you do, there are different dangers, but most of the time there's some form of risk of injury, such as, in my case, I'm familiar with mountaineering, so breaking an ankle, breaking a leg, falling from a ledge, that kind of thing. So I'd say the risks are physical and it really relates to injury, and in the most extreme cases, death. Okay, that was a pretty grim answer, right? Okay, finally, how has the popularity of adventure tourism changed over the years? I don't know the answer to this, but I would say adventure tourism has become more popular. The reason for this is social media, I think, really favors adventurous activities. If you do something adventurous, it looks great on social media. It makes a great video on Instagram or YouTube. And I think people like to copy what they see. So due to social media, due to sharing and this new culture we have, I would say adventure activities have become more popular. Great, that was pretty concise. I hope I used some of today's language. I'm looking through it now, and I definitely used at least 5 or 6 of them. And most of all, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As I asked you, please leave your answers below and I will check them. Are you a risk taker or are you risk averse? So thanks again for listening today. I hope you have a wonderful week and do study hard. I'll be back next week for our next topic, which is advertising. I've seen this a number of times. It's a very popular topic. So that's next week's topic, advertising. See you then. Bye-bye.